Hello everybody, and welcome to some extra content, some extra stuff here on the Mr. Warren Hayes Show podcast. Hi there, I'm Warren Hayes. We're going to be talking about pro wrestling here in a bit. Very specifically, we're going to be reviewing the New Japan Pro Wrestling's, New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong, New Japan USA. Anyway, the Capital Collision show that was promoted by New Japan Pro Wrestling because this was left over from the podcast, from the big old podcast that I record live on YouTube, youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes every Tuesday night. And there was just like, the stream went long for a bunch of reasons, per usual, but specifically quite longer than I anticipated, and there was still more stuff I wanted to cover. I didn't want to rush through it, so I'm like, you know what? We'll just create some supplemental extra content that everyone who subscribes and joins in can enjoy. So what more do you want? This is where we're at. So this is some extra bonus content that you'll be receiving right here. In fact, the members of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel got this first. So, and with the way things are going, there's going to be more extra content this week. So if you want it first, you know what you got to do. Well, you know what you have to do. You gotta jump in on the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. You have to jump in on the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel as a member. You have to join, become a member, and you'll get this first. I can't repeat that enough. I can't underscore that enough. But right now, one of the topics that I didn't get a chance to get to on the podcast was Capital Collision, show that happened on August 30th over in Washington, D.C. at the Entertainment and Sports Arena. 2,266 were reported to be in attendance for the show. It's a slight little uptake from last year, which was 2,179. So we're really in the same vicinity. You can't say like this. You can't say that this did, there's no big gain. There's no loss, of course, but there's no big gain. This is very much in the same territory as last year, and that's fine. That's good. And this was a fine little card that we had here. I think there was one really great match on this card. I think there's a lot of stuff that is just gets slapped together. Sometimes a little iffy, good. I don't know. Look, these New Japan of America shows all kind of feel the same. Where it's like they're hits or misses, and when stuff hits, like, it's tremendous, and when it doesn't quite hit, like, everything sort of blobs together. Like, it's, there was some interesting stuff on the card, even on paper, where you're like, oh, this is fun, and then you get to the execution and you wonder, well, what exactly happened? What are we doing? Why am I watching this? Basically, what am I doing watching this? Let's just go right to the interesting bits, which was the top of the card. Really, there really was three matches on the show, I think, that captivated interest and that were considered the most interesting. The business end of the card essentially is what I'm going to spend most of my time on here. Starting with the main event, New Japan Strong Women's Championship, Mercedes Moné defeated Stardom's Momo Watanabe. Why did I pronounce it like that? It's Watanabe, and I know this. Why did I pronounce it like that? And I know this. I'm very disappointed in myself. Someone's going to take away my Weeb card. Go right ahead, if, by the way. It's not necessarily the piece of ID I typically flash. I try to keep that one, buried, like, deep within the wallet. Try to keep that, out of sight. Pull it out, like, only when need be. Anywho, I thought this was a very good match, but I didn't think it was great. Look, I thought Momo's initial control segment was a little sleepy. And I know because I'm familiar with her work. I know this is kind of who she is. She, very, distant. She's not, she's not your typical high energy Joshi girl. And I understand it, okay? I wasn't expecting her to come in and go high speed. This isn't the Zumi. I get it, all right? But, nonetheless, I was like, oh, well, okay, maybe they're going long on this. I mean, this was a 20-minute match. I mean, which is just shy of 20 minutes, 19 minutes, 56 seconds. So let's round it up to 20. It's a 20-minute match. And I guess I'm expecting it to, I'm expecting them to not rush into things. But I felt like the control segment was setting up like, oh, we're going 30 here. We're going 35. And that wasn't exactly the case. So, they had a fun final segment though. Like I felt like the final third of this of the match really, really saved it. And I thought they laid into each other some good strikes, and I thought Mercedes was particularly strong. Like not that Momo was bad. Don't get me wrong. I just thought the control segment could have been a little more enticing, could have been a little shorter, especially considering how much, like I said, it wouldn't have bothered me as much if they had gone just like 30 minutes. Would I have wanted Mercedes Moné and Momo Watanabe to go 30 minutes? I don't know. Probably not. I don't know. But, I definitely would have structured this match that they had differently, at least in the initial regard, right? Where I thought it was going to be a little more of a fight, a little more intense. But I thought both women looked very good. I thought Mercedes looked very good. I thought she did a fantastic job. But yeah, like the final segment was great. Bastard Driver by Momo and a Peach Sunrise, I think she calls it. They try, they struggle out of each other's attempts at the Three Amigos, which is kind of funny, and a superplex by Mercedes Moné, and then there's a bat. Momo has a bat. She's got the bat. They have a new faction now. It's not Odeyo Tai anymore. Odeyo Tai is gone. It's called Hate. I forget what it's called. I forget why they call it Hate. And like it's an acronym, HATE, and probably like never, hate means something here. Let me take a look here. Let me pull it up. I can't seem to find it, and it's an acronym, right? Like it's H.A.T.E. So every letter has to mean something, right? I cannot find what it means. I think I've already spent too much time on this. I cannot find what it means. Like even on the Wikipedia page where you would expect that information to be there, right? Like it's H.A.T.E. And yeah, newly created, but they don't say what it means. Unless there's something that's escaping me. Is it members of the group? No. Natsuko Tora, Konami, Momo, Rina, Tekla. There's no one. I don't know what it means. But that's the faction. Hate. H-A-T-E. Hate. Anyway, I don't even remember why I was talking about why I was making a big deal out about it. See, that's how. That's just how the sidetracks go. Oh wait, it's because of the bat. Because we had a bat. That's why. Because they're an evil cheating group. They use nefarious means to achieve the W's. Not unlike the Bullet Club, but they are hate. But anyway, the bat gets involved, and Mercedes is able to is able to power through all of that and hits the money maker and the statement maker. The money maker is a good name for her finisher. I get it, but I don't like the move. But it's not even. I think she's positioning the FKA bank statement, which is now known as the statement maker. I think she's positioning that as her principal finisher now. Yeah, I mean, and she should, by the way, because the moneymaker stinks. Good match. I gave this 3 3/4 stars. Good, very good. Not quite ready to, I wouldn't push it through into great territory. On Cage Match, they got it up at 8.29 as I'm recording this, and I'm like, that's just too much. But Joshi stuff has a tendency to be overblown on Cage Match. I get it. I don't think it's that good, but we may be splitting hairs because I thought it was very good. I thought the work was solid, and good drama in the match. Great stuff. Great performances by both. And you know what? The Mercedes, the post WWE Mercedes stuff seems to be kicking in now. I feel like at least, post WWE, it's been 2 years at this point, Warren. But since she's joined AEW, I feel like for a while we were trying real hard with Mercedes to establish her as a star. And some of that stuff didn't connect. Some of the stuff didn't work because multiple reasons. I talk about them enough, and I don't want to sidebar this too hard and then start talking about why Mercedes wasn't working for a while in AEW. But now I think she is. Now, like on AEW, she feels like a big deal. She really does. And when she shows up here in New Japan Strong matches, New Japan USA, when she shows up in these matches, she looks tremendous throughout the entire card. That's oftentimes filled with guys who just look like guys, schlubs. She comes across as a star, despite the poor quality production that just plagues these new. Because this is a constant issue. Like, I don't understand how New Japan Pro Wrestling, and I understand it's their American arm, but I don't understand how New Japan Pro Wrestling can make it so that their shows in North America look like a low rent indie. It's not as bad as the Fantastica Mania San Jose show, which was absolutely atrocious. But this is not great either, right? And we still struggle with the audio and all that. Like, the show started and the commentary feed wasn't going through, when it finally went through. Walker Stewart had to go, oh, hello, finally we are on the air. Walker Stewart, Veda Scott. That's my impersonation of Walker and his deep opera voice, his baritone. Oh, I'm Walker Stewart. That's because I'm terrible, because I'm off, because I have no range. I just have one pitch, one annoying pitch. The point is that throughout all of this, low-level production, Mercedes comes across as a star. She comes out, the double belts, and if there's one thing that she knows how to do, it's to present herself well. That is something she's always been great at. And it just so happens she's particularly good at pro wrestling as well. So it all comes together. So yeah, a strong, solid main event and a great presentation, a great showing by Mercedes, who just, stands above a lot of people on this card. Not everyone, but a lot of people. But then you'll say, but Warren, that's the very definition of what a mid-card is. When you get into your stars, to your champions, they need. You're right. You're absolutely right. But I think it's worth noting here. We had Hiroshi Tanahashi on this card. Don't forget. He was on the show. Anyway, next match we're going to talk about is the second from the top, the New Japan Strong Openweight title match. Gabe Kidd defeated Leo Rush. This match ruled. This is match of the night in my humble opinion. I thought it was great. Starts off hot. Great control segment by Gabe Kidd early on. Some great back and forth. You know, Leo Rush is in his hometown, so they're playing off of that, generating the sympathy. Power moves by Kidd and a tremendous lariat like on Leo Rush, and after which Leo Rush is bleeding. Now I don't know if that was hard way or if he ran the razor. If he did, I didn't quite catch the moment where he had the opportunity to do it. So if this was indeed hard way, god damn, what a strike. Because he was sort of bleeding. Wasn't he kind of bleeding like from his cheek? Like in a place where you're not supposed to cut yourself, essentially. It was kind of wild, folks. It was kind of wild. And then there's a brain buster as well. Leo Rush, what he does here is the underdog fighting back. And this worked. This worked on multiple levels. Unlike another promotion that had the same type of match structure that same weekend over in Berlin. We're not going to name them. And they had the hometown guy working from beneath, but it didn't work. Here it worked because Leo Rush is smaller, sympathetic, the immediate clash with Gabe Kidd, who was, bigger, bulkier, a brawler. Leo Rush is a fast, quick, athletic speedster type of athlete. Like, this worked well. Unlike the other part, like, you compare and contrast both, which basically had the same story. You can see why this one worked so well and the other one did not. Because let's just say, Gunter is not a guy who works from beneath. Gunter is the guy who makes other guys work from beneath. He's the guy who, he commands the ring as opposed to, having to struggle for the babyface comebacks. But yeah, I thought the pacing here was great. I thought the drama was fantastic. Motivated Leo Rush is just fantastic. And I said this last year before his incident where he decided, but when his contract with New Japan didn't come to fruition. He wasn't quite, he had said he was on the cusp of signing a contract with New Japan and it didn't work out. And now it's, we don't know why, but this is kind of Leo Rush's MO, right? He goes to places, and I don't want to say he burns bridges because he's going back to these places, but there's always something. There's always something that seems to stand in his way from like reaching that potential, right? I've said it once, I'll say it 1,000 times. I think pro wrestling is better off having a guy like Leo Rush in it who wrestles like no one else does and has this connection, this charisma, which is incredibly his, that just belongs to him. And if he can keep his focus, I think this guy should be tearing down houses everywhere. Like he shouldn't still be, in curtain jerkers and scumming around. He should be better set than this. And that's what I was purporting last year when he was on that great run in New Japan, and then things fell apart and we didn't see him for the better part of the year. And now he's back, he's working AEW, and you feel AEW is like testing him, making him earn his spot. New Japan is, giving him these spots here, but in the USA shows, right? I'll be curious to see when's the next time he's going to end up in Japan. I don't know when or if that's going to happen, but he's still hanging around. And when he's motivated and he's got something to chew on, he's so good. And Gabe Kidd, as his second, right, as his dance partner here, is just phenomenal. Gabe Kidd is legitimately having a career 2024. Well, a career year in 2024. Because you're only going to have one career 2024, which is in 2024, regardless of how good the year is. it's going to be your career 2024. God, I like to make things complicated. Kid has been having a great year. Let's leave it at that. But he has been having a great year. One of the standouts of the G1, just an absolute an absolute star in the making. And it continued here, where he went through this match with Lio Rush and just was absolutely phenomenal. These guys worked fantastically together, had great chemistry. I really like this match between the striking and the evasions and the great comebacks, the fantastic comeback spots that Lio Rush was purporting. It was just fantastic. Yeah, and Gabe Kidd wins with the leg trap pile driver. And then I believe he calls it the Madman Bomb for the win. I go 4 stars on this. I thought this was great. I thought this was a great match. Let's go. Hiromu Takahashi defeated Mustafa Ali, which is like the last of the top 3 in this triumvirate. How about that? How about that for your supplemental content verbiage? Triumvirate. But you won't hear Alvarez say triumvirate. This was probably one of Ali's better matches that I've seen since he's left WWE. Like we've talked about in the past, I feel like Mustafa Ali has what he has decided to do with his time off gone from WWE is character work as opposed to, showing us what he could do. And I think so far he has had one great match, which was the Speedball Mike Bailey match at, what was it? It was a TNA show, the last one. Well, the last one before the last one. Let's see. Oh yeah, it was at Slammiversary. What am I talking about? That was a legitimately great match that would have been better had it not been for the fuckery at the end with the Montreal Screwjob references. But again, we're not doing that sidebar. I've talked about that before. I mean, they're throwing themselves on the floor. They're doing suplexes on the floor here. It's a good match. I was afraid when Hiromu brought out the buff Daryl doll, the cat and with the abs, which became a focus on their last match together, which really annoyed me. We came back around here and they brought it out, but it wasn't as much of a focus. They did do a spot where Mustafa Ali sort of shoved the Daryl doll off of the apron and the fans didn't like that. Boy, they took offense to that. Other than that, I thought this was very good. I super solid. I gave this 3 3/4 stars. I even thought Hiromu came across as super into it and dynamic and, was ready to do some business the proper way. I don't know. Cause sometimes, as much as I love me, Hiromu Takahashi, sometimes he phones it in, especially when he comes to North America. When he heads into the US, sometimes he's more about the memeing than he is about the wrestling. But this was a lot of fun. I thought it was a super solid match. I thought it was very good, actually, more than just solid. I thought it was very good. And Hiromu gets his win back. And after the match, well, they're staring at each other. They're doing this, one more. They want the rubber match. And then Mustafa Ali says, hey, I want to face you in Best of Super Juniors next year. I mean, good for him if he's going into business and, setting that out there. President Tanahashi's backstage. Maybe he's like, the boss is here. Hey, I want to be in Best of Super Juniors next year. Are we assuming that there are no WWE plans to... Because look, I feel I say this every time we talk about Mustafa Ali. He feels like a guy because of all the character work that he does. And he does a lot of character work on the indies and in TNA. And he's not necessarily wowing everyone and setting the world on fire with his wrestling now that he's been released, So there's a lot of Mustafa Ali. When you look at it, you're like, is it really? He's just waiting for Triple H to give him the call, right? He's gonna be like Bronson Reed, It's like he's gonna, no matter what he's doing, he's gonna drop whatever he's doing and pick up the phone. Says, "Hey, Paul, you'd like me back?" He's one of those guys. He's one of those guys who will immediately jump back over there if he gets the call. Because frankly, I'm still surprised he hasn't shown up in All Elite Wrestling in any way, shape, or form, especially considering how much of a fan Bryan Danielson is of him. Maybe he wants to keep that side of the street clean. Maybe he just wants to be available for when the call comes. I would think that eventually it might. I think so. Like, Paul is brought back worse. He's brought back worse. Why don't we circle back to the top of the card? I mean, look, just before we close it out, not before we close it out, but before we go to the rest of the card, when it comes to the business end of the show, I thought it was very good. Like, nothing that'll really like knock your socks off. And it's not like this stretch of incredible wrestling that you're just like, wow, this is all so fun. But it's good. It's good, solid, honest pro wrestling. Bullshit at a minimum. It's you can't really complain with that. Would I have really been excited for like some really high level world class pro wrestling? Sure, but my expectations have started to get curbed when it comes to these New Japan of America shows. I mean, I've been curbing them with New Japan, period. This is kind of the same prospect here. Anyway, let's go back to the top of the card. We had a pre-show. Matt Vandegrift defeated Alan Breeze to continue the strong survivor match gimmick, where you're the strong survivor, which means that when you win your match in the strong survivor match, you're immediately booked for the next New Japan of Strong America show. And Matt Vandegrift has been winning. What did they say? He's at his 6th, his 7th, his 8th. It was 6 or 8. It was an even number. I don't remember. But he's fine. He's a fine little wrestler. Alan Breeze, I'm not familiar with him. Mina Shirakawa and Hanako defeated Trish Adora and Viva Van. So we got some Stardom action here. I've heard that Mina Shirakawa is moving to the United States. Read into that what you want. Read into that what you want. But I mean, the woman clearly is enamored, and she's cultivating a fan base of people who really like the Shirakawa. And I wouldn't be surprised if she's picked up officially by a certain company in North America. And instead of her flying back and forth from Japan to, Washington, D.C. or wherever else, Des Moines, Iowa, or wherever the hell, these places that you're like, Mina Shirakawa is flying into Eugene, Oregon. She might as well have a base here, right? I don't know I don't know how true it is, but that's what I heard. It's a rumor going around. So I think we might be seeing a lot more on the North American shores. Didn't she do a thing also in Stardom where she was wearing a North American gear or bikini? Or sometimes it's hard. Sometimes I find it hard to tell with Mina specifically if she's wearing gear or, swimwear. But I think it was swimwear. Openweight tag team title number 1 contendership 3-way match saw Hiroshi Tanahashi and Tomohiro Ishii defeat the TMDK duo of Bad Dude Tito and Robbie Eagles and Grizzled Young Veterans. This was perfectly fine. Again, like, nothing that'll knock your socks off. And I would assume that mayhaps the grizzled young vets were perhaps earmarked to win this match before it became apparent that they were going to be signed by AEW, and maybe Tony Khan was like, nah, listen, fellas, we're going to start this off on the right foot, and you're working for me for a while. So that would probably be the best explanation as to why Hiroshi Tanahashi and Tomohiro Ishii are in this mix for the strong open weight titles. I mean, don't get me wrong, Hiroshi and Ishii, Tanahashi specifically, Ishii, Ishii likes coming to the US. I think he enjoys it here. I think when I say here, I mean in the US because I'm in Canada. Why do I make things so complicated? I think he enjoys coming to the United States, and that's okay. And that, I can get behind that. Tanahashi, there's still a large contingent of people who see a New Japan show and they want to see Tanahashi wrestle, even though he's so extremely past his prime. So the point being is that the two of them like to be in North America quite a bit. So why not just strap the North American tag team titles on it? Because that's what they are, really. That's what they're supposed to be. Rocky Romero and Yoshihashi and Kevin Knight defeated the Bullet Club trio of the War Dogs, Clark Connors, Drilla Maloney, and David Finlay. I thought this was passable. I like a lot of people in this match. I like Rocky. I love Kevin Knight. I love Rocky. What am I talking about? CMLL Rocky is the best Rocky. CMLL Rocky Romero is the best version of Rocky Romero. Yoshihashi's fine. He's a good little wrestler, good little team wrestler. I love Drilla Maloney. But this match really, I barely have any notes. I don't know. I got nothing. I got nothing for you. I got nothing for you. The two notes that I have is that this probably sets up a match between Kevin Knight and Kushida versus the War Dogs for the junior tag titles again, because Kevin Knight pinned, I believe, Drilla Maloney, and then the babyfaces were beat down after. So I'm pretty sure this is setting something up on that. And look, Kevin Knight's doing the MLW thing, which is good for him. I still think New Japan should lock this guy down and keep him in Japan. Maybe he doesn't want, we're saying, oh, they should, do this and he needs to go to Japan. Maybe he doesn't want to, maybe he doesn't want to live in Japan. He doesn't want to hang out there. He doesn't want to do the thing there. Maybe. But I'm telling you, if I'm New Japan, I'm doing everything. I'm doing a lot to keep Kevin Knight happy and keep him on my side, because that guy's got a future, and I think he would bring something very refreshing and different to the Japanese side of things. I think he's very good. I think the junior division could benefit from having him there as a regular. I really honestly do. And the other note that I had was, it's crazy how David Finlay just blends in perfectly with all these mid-carders. I don't want to turn this into, I know going after Dave Finlay is low-hanging fruit. Like, it's not even like cutting commentary. It's just easy. It's, in some circles, it's just like hater speak, right? It's just like you just don't like him and you bury him. But the idea here is not that I want to bury him. It's just, it shocked me. One of the things, this is what shocked me. One of the things that I purport about Finlay is that he doesn't have that star aura. Like, New Japan likes to pretend he does. They like to cosplay him as a star. But he doesn't have that thing. He doesn't have that connection, that aura. The thing that everyone sort of, where you look at a guy like Yota Tsuji and you're like, there you go. That's it right there. They like to tell us or could try to convince us that Dave Finlay has that aura, but he doesn't. And when he ends up in this match here where he's completely surrounded by mid-carders, he just comes across as one of the boys here. Like, he's not outshining any. Look, think about this for a second. Let's say we go back to a couple of years ago, maybe 2 years ago. You do this exact same match. Rocky Romero, Yoshihashi, and Kevin Knight. Okay, bear with me. We're doing a hypothetical here. You have this match, a trios match with these three guys, Clark Connors and Drilla Maloney on the other side, and you have, I don't know, like Kazuchika Okada. Okay, I know like it wouldn't happen, but that's the idea. Now, Okada would be in this match and would just cast a shadow over everyone here because Kazuchika Okada is Kazuchika Okada, because he is legitimately a guy. He wouldn't be blending in with the others here. He wouldn't, you know, I'd show this match to someone who doesn't follow pro wrestling or New Japan. I'd show them this, watch them have the match, and I'd say, hey, you know what? That guy there, that third guy with the long hair, one of the three with the long hair, the one with the tattoos, yeah, that guy holds the second biggest title in New Japan. And that person would probably go, why? Who is this guy? I'm just saying, you know, perfectly, perfunctory, great, good match. You know, it's like nothing out of the ordinary, but yeah. Then we had a no DQ match where Fred Rosser and Tom Lawler defeated the West Coast Wrecking Crew. That's it. We got a New Japan of Strong America. We got to stop this. We're done with this feud with this Fred Rosser, Team Filthy breaking apart, and the West Coast Wrecking Crew. Like, this has got to be it, right? I have no interest in plunder. It's a plunder match first and foremost. So it's a hard sell for me, and it didn't do it for me. Okay, and these are all guys I like. I enjoy myself a good Tom Lawler. Honestly, sounds like a drink. Sounds like something you could go to the hotel bar. You know, you walk up to the hotel bar and the barman is, you know, he has a nice little tie, a white shirt, and he's got he's got the red velvet jacket, sports coat. What am I talking about? He's got that, you know, it's buttoned, you know. And he comes up, you know, and he puts his right forearm on the bar, and he lays down his left hand at an angle, you know, and he looks at you and he says, "What could I get you, sir?" And you say, "I want a Tom Lawler, please." Just right away, sir. And he mixes it together, and he you know, gives you a wink when he serves. It's one of those guys. It's one of those bars that would serve you a Tom Lawler. I can't remember what I was saying. It doesn't matter, because this match, I didn't care for this match. I think I gave it 2.5 stars. You've seen one of these, you've seen them all. I don't know what to tell you. And we've got to move on from this. And I don't remember who said this. This is not necessarily an original thought here, but someone said, you know, the West Coast Wrecking Crew. And I'm sorry, like, I honestly don't remember. Someone said, you know, the West Coast Wrecking Crew, you know, New Japan has to shit or get off the pot when it comes to these guys. Like, bring them to Japan, have them have a tour of Japan. Otherwise, what the hell are we doing? Just like, and they have to move on from this little universe that they have. You know, the remnants of the old New Japan Strong show. That's essentially what this is. It's the leftovers of the weekly show that they were running during the pandemic. Look, I don't know. I've got nothing. You've seen one of these. You've seen them all. The baby faces win. All right, let's move on. Zack Sabre Jr. defeated Titan. This is another great match. What would I say great? Very good. Very, very good. I gave this match 3 3/4 stars, just so you know. I loved this match. I thought it was fantastic. And what a great break from everything else that had been going on, which was very, 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 very mid so far. This lit things up. Zack and Titan worked a great match, and Titan was even keeping up with the Zack Sabre Jr. pace. You gotta love you some Titan. I don't understand people who are like, oh, you know, who sort of shrug at him. No, Titan rules. He really does rule, and he can do it all. He's a guy who is, I think, severely underrated by most wrestling fans as to how capable he is, how he's able to adjust himself to different styles. He's able to work Japan. He's able to work the Apero style. And look at him going with Zack Sabre Jr. here. And then, of course, it pops back into his home base in CMLL, and he's doing pure lucha, right? I don't think this guy gets enough credit. I really don't. I don't think Titan gets enough credit for being as good as he is, because he's also a guy that can turn it up, hit the second, third gear, and have some absolutely blockbuster matches. He's not just like your run-of-the-mill flippy guy. He can put together some absolutely phenomenal matches. This was tremendous. It's all full of counters. That's what he's doing. All sort of counters to Zach's offense. But Zach locks him into a leg trap. Gets the win. Again, like, and I can't hammer this home enough. And I had talked about it when I was doing the G1 coverage here. Zach has been on such an upward trajectory when it comes to his aura. We talk a lot about aura in pro wrestling, don't we? But think about Zack Sabre Jr. a couple of years ago, throwing fits backstage, just, going around, throwing chairs, putting chairs around his neck and, all that stuff, to now, who is a guy who comes out, commands attention, people react, they pop for him, they loved him, they love him at Wembley, of course they do. They love him in the US when he shows up. They love him here, and he looks like a guy who's on the verge of winning a world title. He's been carrying himself, at the very least, he's carrying himself like one. Now, whether it happens at Wrestle Kingdom or not, or if he loses at Wrestle Kingdom or not, that's a whole other story. But the Zack Sabre Jr. test right now, I think, is working. I don't think he comes across as second rate. I don't think he comes across as not credible. I think he's fantastic in this role. He has grown into it. He has grown into the role of being a top guy, and he hasn't been christened as a top guy yet, but he's there. Like, this is the absolute difference with a guy like Sonata, who the title was expected to make a top guy out of him, but the guy just couldn't make it happen. Zach is making it happen without the belt. He's the winner of the G1, and he feels like the winner. He feels like the top contender. He'll probably be winning the title at King of Pro Wrestling. Like, I think that's fairly inevitable. We'll have that discussion when it comes to Wrestle Kingdom and whatnot. But as it stands right now, he's been doing fantastic works. And it, again, comes across. Look, we were talking about Mercedes Moné earlier, coming out looking like a star amongst the schlubs. There you go. This guy here. Tetsuya Naito defeated TJP in a singles match. It was non-title. The IWGP World Heavyweight Championship was not on the line. TJP got mad that Tetsuya Naito was wrestling with that. TJP got mad that we had T-shirt Naito in this match. Well, so he takes the T-shirt off, but Naito's like, nah. He puts the T-shirt back on when he gets a chance. That's how Naito felt about it. That's how I felt about it. I was watching this match with my T-shirt on. I wasn't stripping down, bare chest, surgical scars bared to the world in excitement for this match. I get it. I'm on Naito's side. Mikey Nichols and Shane Haste retained the New Japan Strong Openweight Tag Team titles against Hechicero and Virus. Yeah, I mean, this was pretty good. It was a good match. I thought this was good. I gave it 3.25. I gave 3 to Naito and TJP, which I guess is good. I don't know. Yeah, I thought this was pretty good. TMDK won with the Tank Buster, and Hechicero and Virus, they have some very good combos with each other. And man, I mean, I feel like this was ready to hit another gear, and maybe it would have hit it. Why didn't we get there? Is it because the TMDK guys aren't exactly who they used to be? Maybe. Is it because of the time limit? Maybe. Like, there's so many factors. Like, I don't know, but Hechicero is such a known quantity when it comes to quality matches in North America, because now he's getting pushed in CMLL, right? He's going to be like in a top match at the anniversary show. Why do I try? There's no point in trying to say it in Spanish, Warren. He's going to be in the big match, the big mask versus mask 4-way at the anniversary show in a couple of weeks now. So he's getting a push, but I think Hechicero could benefit from a big push in North America and wherever. I think he's more over outside of his home promotion than he is in CMLL. I think so. And who is going to have the guts to strap him up, give him a title? Is it going to be New Japan? Is it going to be AEW? Is it going to be Rev Pro? Which are, the typical stomping grounds? Who's going to give him a title? But him and Virus, I think they're both solid performers when it comes to coming to North America. Well, they're already in North America, to the United States. And again, Virus isn't pushed. He's not a push commodity, but he comes here and he has these great matches, and they're solid. They're super solid. So this is fine. It's a good little match. And that's it. That's the card. That's how it wraps up. So you see, like the undercard has Zach versus Titan, which I think is tremendous, and I think continues to establish Zach and everything that we've already spoke of. I'm not going to go through that again. But outside of that, the undercard is very like okie dokie. Like, it's a New Japan card. What do you want from me? But even stuff where I was like, oh, TMDK, Hechicero, Virus, that should be fun. I was like, wasn't bad. It was good. A nice little match. Nothing that knocked my socks off. So overall, I would say New Japan Capital Collision 2024 was a good show. We're probably never going to speak of this card ever again. Not because it will alienate us, just because we'll forget about it. If you're really into the Gabe Kidd ride of 2024, then you should absolutely watch this match. But there's nothing that really screams I recommend. It's a good show though. I think it's a good little show with the back end of the card being particularly good. No bullshit. Like, that's it. It's just good, solid pro wrestling, but in some circumstances, just like very unspectacular. And you're like, okay. Plus, wrapped in that awful New Japan of America production value. And, it's not necessarily the easy breeziest watch of all time. But I can't say I hated the show. I didn't. I liked it. I thought it was a good little show. But nothing sensational, nothing that you'll remember, nothing that you need to run after. Unlike the MrWarrenHayes show content that is popping up this week, because I've still got more stuff that I didn't talk about on the podcast, which is specifically the All-In preview show, which has happened, which I'm going to record and release over the next couple of days. Before, did I say All-In or All Out? I'm so confused. The All Out preview. The All Out preview. I'll probably watch Dynamite. We'll have a good idea of the full card, and then I'll come back and record that and set that out there on into the universe for everyone to enjoy. Everyone. In the meantime, Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this supplemental content. If you did, subscribe, like, 5-star reviews, 5-star ratings, all that stuff. I'll be back soon. At the very least, I'll be back on Thursday for I'll be back on Thursday for the Dynamite review at the very least. We'll be doing a lot more. But thank you very much, everyone, for being here, and I will see you next time.